Nice. So let's welcome Agnieszka Rojewska, the World Barista Champion 2018. So, Aga.
Yes?
When did you start in coffee?
Oh, this is a difficult question. Nobody asked me that before. It was 10 years ago. I was young and I had black hair at this time. I was looking for a job, a part-time job for my summer break. And I just go to a coffee shop on a railway station, leave my CV, and they called me 3 days later that they want me to work for them. And I don't know what I like better, making coffee or earning money, but I didn't stay for 3 months, I stayed for 3 years. So this is how it started.
Nice. So what about the specialty and this whole range of very high quality and nice tasting coffee? When did you taste that first?
Like 10 years ago, I didn't know such a thing exists.
Lucky you.
Like 10 years ago, we didn't have it in Poland. Like the specialty coffee shops started like 3 years later. And I wasn't a lot into flavor at this time. I was more into drawing because it was attracting people more than like acidity in coffee. So I was starting to be attracted with latte art stuff. So I learned myself from YouTube. And I think that after 5 years, I've actually tasted espresso that was good. And that's what started to drag me more into the subject of flavors. Like I started to think why this espresso tastes different than the others and why I didn't like the previous ones and I like this one. And of course, my first cupping was just like buying random coffees from random places, very old coffees. And we just grind them, like whatever amount. Like we didn't even scale them. We just pour water on them and we try to taste them. I don't remember tasting like any good coffee at this point. One of them was from Australia. One of them was from India and all this like very weird stuff. But I think that specialty for me started when I was forced to quit my first job. And I started to participate in a Barista Championship on my own. Nobody told me what to do. And this is the moment when I started to discover more.
So you've been the champion, the Barista Champion of Poland like 4 times?
3.
3.
Like in Barista, yes.
And then latte art
4.
4 times. And like where else? What else?
I haven't won anything else in Poland, but I was a runner-up in Coffee and Good Spirit. I was a runner-up in the Brewers Cup. I was a runner-up in New York Coffee Masters. I won London Coffee Masters. I've never go further than top 8 in the World Latte Art Battle in Seoul. Somebody told me today, no matter what you do, there is always a Korean guy better than you. And that's what happens in Seoul, actually. I can go through first round and that's all I can get. The Koreans are too good for me. I think that's all. It's not that much. People just exaggerate the amount of stuff I won.
You did third in World Latte Art last year.
Yeah.
Like non-Korean guy did that.
No, like he was, I think that Korean guy last year has a problem with like designing his pattern and he was losing points, like stupid points in few of the places in the score sheets. But his technique and his creativity is pretty high.
Let's get back to you.
Okay.
So what's ever brought you to competing? Why championships?
I was forced at the beginning. Like my first application wasn't sent by me. Somebody else did that. I am, you might believe it or not, I am introvert and being in this room full of people make me want to run.
Sorry.
No worries. I get used to that. But I didn't want to compete because stage actually scares me. So my first coach in this chain coffee shop, it was the coach that told me, okay, so you make espresso using 7.2 grams inside the basket, pouring 30 mils out, and that's enough. You don't have to do more. Just check the time. If it's not good, adjust it with the next shot. This one is okay. So this was my first coach, and she was pretty enthusiastic about coffee. And then they announced that we have internal championship. Like you know Starbucks more or less how it works. So baristas from Starbucks can compete in internal championship only. So we had this internal competition, and I said, no, whatever, I'm not doing it. And she sent my application, and 2 weeks later, they accepted. And my manager said, oh, so you go for the competition, that's great. And I was like, what? And then I had to go. Like, I didn't have to go, but I said, okay, I will try. And then I met my former business partner. So we started to do pretty weird stuff during the night with coffee. It was weird. And he actually got into the competition, and in the finals I didn't. But I guess that what dragged me back was the learning experience. I actually see how much I developed my skills just preparing to this competition, no matter the result was. That's why I keep doing it.
So when was it, your first competition?
6 months after I started my first job.
Nice. So you've been competing all your life, pretty much.
Yeah.
You were forced into this. Okay.
I'm a professional competitor.
Good.
Unemployed.
Your results definitely show that. Yeah. So, when was the first official Polish barista championship that you took part in? Right after, 6 months after that one?
No. It was. I think it was the first of. But we were talking barista or different?
Let's stick to barista
okay.
for a moment.
Okay, so it was 2011. So it was 3 years later, and it was. I was forced to quit my job, and I just from one day to another, I sent the application for a Polish Barista Championship regionals, and I had 1 day to prepare myself. It was pretty awesome. I went to Warsaw to my friend, and I said to him, okay, I have nothing. Can you give me something? And he's like, so we opened the fridge, and there was a kaffir leaves, there was a orange something, and we said, okay, so we're gonna do the signature beverage from that. So this was pretty weird. I actually qualified for the finals, which was 2 months later. And me and my business partner at this point was preparing a routine. And you know that you have only 15 minutes, right? Yeah, so we made the routine that lasts 19 minutes. And for 2 months, we were practicing with 19 minutes routine. And there is 1 week left, and we're sitting, and you cannot do it in 19 minutes. It's disqualification. And we're like, yeah, I know. So, okay, let's do it one more time. If you're not going to do it in 15 minutes, we're going to change it. And I don't know how, but I did. And it was my best routine ever. I was doing a signature beverage for 9.5 minutes. Only signature beverage, 9.5 minutes. So I needed to make 4 cappuccinos and 4 espresso in 5 minutes. And I managed to do that. This video was on YouTube, I think some time ago, from my first Barista Championship. I watched it, and on the clock was 12.5, and I asked my colleagues, is she gonna make it? And that was me. I did it, I made it. And I was like, is she gonna make it? And yeah, you did it. So I was in the top 6, and of course I was 6.
Well, that's still not the win, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it was my best routine ever. It was better than the one I did this year.
And since then, did you just participate every year, or how was your barista competition?
Yep, I was participating every year in more than one competition. In 2011, I actually did coffee and good spirits, latte art, and barista competition in 3 days. It was day by day.
Wow, that's a lot. Did you handle it well?
Yes, I was third in latte art competition, and I was in the final of coffee and good spirit because there was only final.
Okay, got it. So let's get back to your biography just a little bit, because we got this coffee shop by the station, 3 years, then Starbucks.
No. The chain, it was Polish version of Starbucks. So when I quit this job, when I quit this coffee chain on the railway station, for 1 year I was working in different places. I'm not even able to say where exactly. And after that, me and my business partner opened a coffee shop. It was the weirdest coffee shop ever. It was orange and it was in the basement. And we were just, we wasn't grumpy. I think we had a mission. We didn't serve coffee, we have a mission. We wanted to teach people how to drink coffee. So we didn't
How
have...
did that turn out?
Very bad. Like we didn't have customers. We had like freaks that comes here to our coffee shop and was talking to us like for 8 hours straight, which was pretty bad. Because like at some point you don't know what to say more. And people didn't come back because we didn't, the education we provide was forced. They didn't want to know it. They wanted to have a good coffee. And we forced them to have a knowledge. So first 2 years was a struggle. Then we figured out that we're doing something wrong, and we just changed our approach. And I think that at this point, this was very similar to my first win in Polish championship in latte art. So like people keep coming because they wanted to see the champion, which was pretty weird because I was never there. So the people keep coming back, and my staff started to be like more friendly to them, and this is how we grow. And I spent there 5 years, I think.
Wow, that's a lot. So what happened next?
I was, because I was traveling a lot because of the competitions. I was already Polish latte art champion twice, I think. I was twice barista champion. And I started to travel a lot because people wanted to learn from me. So I was doing a lot of trainings in Poland, in Europe, in Asia, of course. And at this stage, we just disagree with my business partner. He said, either you stay in a coffee shop and just do work in a coffee shop, or either you have to leave. And I said, okay, so I'll leave.
But like over 5 years, how did your responsibility change? What did you do?
Like at first, of course, I was just making coffee, which was great. And after 2 years, we figured out that somebody has to take care of the dirty work, which is like, finances, hire people, sell, give them salary, make orders, pay to your staff. So this was the job that is actually not very nice in a coffee shop. I was doing the management most of the time. So I was the bad policeman because I was going after my employees. I was going after my employees, telling, okay, you have to clean this, you have to do that, you have to sign this, and all that stuff. And my business partner was this good daddy, which was like, yeah, you're great. So I was always the bad one. And after 2 years, I was stuck in the office. Then I started to do the trainings because we actually make our coffee shop twice as big because we could just go through the wall and it grow. So I had even more responsibilities, and we opened a training center in this coffee shop. So I was also doing scheduling the trainings, doing most of the trainings. I did the AST course so I can do the trainings. So I was mostly, I started to be mostly away at this time.
So 5 years was quite a lot. Was it like sad leaving the place, or how did you feel?
There's like mixed feelings in this, because of course it was sad because this was kind of my baby. And there's like still a lot of my stuff in there, like I just left it. And people still recognize me as a part of this coffee shop. But from the other, like me and my business partner actually argue at the end of my journey because I was out and he wanted me to be in, and that's why we didn't have this very friendly exit. So
yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep asking about that one.
No worries.
So does it still exist? Do you ever come?
Yes, it is. It exists. It's still in Poland. It has the same name. It's still orange. It's still in the same basement. I think that some of the employees still work there. It's called Brisman. And if you will ever ask me why it's called Brisman, it's because mother of my business partner wanted to say he's a barista, but she just mixed the words, and that's why it's called Brisman. It's not a barista.
Okay. So since then, did you ever have like a full-time job?
No.
Okay, so what do you do now? I mean, like,
I'm sitting on a couch and being interviewed by you, which is part of my job now. I never had it. After I left, I was just living from training to training, which was sometimes very good because sometimes I had 28 trainings in a month, which is pretty nice, and sometimes I had 2, but the bills are still the same. So it was a bit hard at some point. Of course, some of the competitions you do for money because some of the competition has a winning like money prize. Like for example, New York Coffee Masters is like $5,000 to win, which is pretty good, but I haven't won this one. London Coffee Master is £5,000, which makes me help to survive some of the moments. But when you're a trainer and you actually have a good opinion in a environment, you just keep getting the trainings. And this was pretty tough because I don't know how to say no. And last year I found myself doing 71 days of straight trainings, so which was pretty exhausting in different places of Europe, which makes it even more exhausting. And then I had to go for Christmas break, and we figured out we're gonna go to my brother's in Switzerland. So it wasn't a vacation; it was even more exhausting, because he has a wife and small kids, and this wife knows how to make coffee better than I am.
So as a result, we can say that you are a professional trainer because you do quite a lot of those.
Yep.
And you are a world ambassador.
I have to. Now I have to be. I don't have a choice.
And you don't know how to say no. This is why you are here.
No, actually, we scheduled this before I was a world ambassador.
But you were already quite an ambassador, at least for me, so thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Okay, enough about your biography. I feel that it's cool. It's really tough because it's just more for money. What makes you wake up in the morning? What's your passion about like your job or life or roles?
What is great about my life, I can schedule days when I don't have to wake up. I can sleep all day. But
not in the nearest year.
No. But I think tomorrow is the day. Actually, what makes me get up? It's hard to say. I love my job, but at some points I wake up just because my calendar says I have to. And what keeps me going in the industry and what keeps me developing is actually coffee itself. This is something that no matter how hard you try and no matter how much you learn, there's always more to learn. And I just want to keep up. Because if I will stop to learn and to develop myself every day, at some point I will find myself not knowing what is TDS or ratio or whatever. And I had this moment in my life and I was pretty scared. Everybody was doing the espresso on scales and I was just like, why? And now I know. Now I know. But I think this is what keeps me going. Is if I will stop developing myself, I will just won't be this good ambassador anymore.
So your work-life balance looks like
there's only work. There is no life.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're not enjoying like the days of your like a work.
I enjoy it because I enjoy my work. Actually, I don't get my work as a work because this is also something very general, and you heard it a lot of times. That if you do in your life what you like, you're actually not working. And I'm not working. I'm actually meeting a lot of great people. We spent 3 days here on a training, and I haven't felt that this is work. Like we were just like drinking coffee, making coffee, laughing, and at the end of the day, I don't feel like I've spent 9 hours in a training room drinking bad espressos, because we mostly did bad espressos. This is the way you do trainings. You drink bad ones, not the good ones. And in the end of the day, you finish, and you have to say goodbye to those people, but you know that this connection will stay forever, and it's not job at this point. It's just like way of living.
Sounds like that.
Yeah.
Consultant.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Great. So now we know more about your life. Let's get back to those championships. Yeah, okay. So when was the first win of any Polish championship that led you to the world? When was your first world?
2014. it was a World Latte Art Championship in Australia, which was difficult because Australia is far away. So we needed to travel 34 hours there. We landed in Australia, and the next day was the competition. The competition lasted 3 days, which was like, I was 17, so there was no such a great thing. And then after the competition, we came back immediately to Poland, another 34 hours. And 2 days later, I had Polish Barista Championship.
Did you win that one?
No, I was second. I was runner-up. But what's funny, and if you're recording this, I will use a bad word now. My business partner at this point, we had this agreement that I'll come back, but the moment when I'm not here, he's supposed to choose the coffee. We were choosing between two. One was pretty risky, it was Yemen coffee, and the other one was Rwandan coffee. And I told him, okay, get the best possible Yemen and the best possible Rwandan from our roasters, and choose one. When I come back, just tell me which one is it. And I trusted him. I knew that he's gonna take the best one. And I come back, like my head was like upside down because night is day and all that stuff. And he's saying to me, the coffee is crap, but you can manage. He chose the Yemen one, which was like old crop. Like I think it was 2 years old crop, which tasted like wood and grain, but you can manage. I was like, yes, thank you.
But you scored second then.
Yeah,
How did you do that?
Like I think I'm maybe good in this. Like we were doing a lot of work, like we selected the beans in ultraviolet to get the oldest one out. We screened the sizes, and I just knew more or less what to do with the extraction to not get the wood and the grain. And of course, I built the story around it. So when I was saying that in my espresso you will feel mold, the judges actually found it as a positive, and they're supposed to find it as a negative. But I don't know. Maybe I was so, maybe I have
persuasive,
this. Yeah, maybe. So this was my first win, which was pretty amazing because I was on top 3 with my 2 great friends. So there was no matter which one of us will win, we will be happy with that.
Nice.
First.
So let's get to Latte Art Championships for a moment.
Yep.
So you've been on the Worlds 3 times.
Yes.
How was it for you, and how the world is different to a national competition?
Like I don't know how the national competition looks in here, but in a world stage, you can see bunch of totally different styles. And the problem, I think this is a big problem for judges, because in Poland, we draw more or less the same style. So, or we are all inspired by the same things, or we are all using the same techniques. But when you go to world, Chinese person, Iranian baristas, Polish people, American guys, Australian guys, we have different styles. And the styles and the creativity is so different that it's very, very difficult to say which one of us is better. Of course, what is pretty tricky, you always have the same milk and coffee. And for example, coffee in Shanghai was lightly roasted coffee that was roasted 2 days ago. And if anybody of you actually do latte art, so light roasted coffee, no contrast. Roasted 2 days ago, no crema, no contrast. And we got milk that if you overheat it, it was like above 55 degrees, it was just disappearing immediately. So most of the competitors just didn't handle it, and the contrast, the scores we get for contrast was like 2, 2.5, 1.5, even in the finals. So this is pretty tricky part. Of course, the Chinese was second. So the latte art is, the level is very, very high. And I think that what makes the champion is the details and the luck.
So training in latte art, because you did score in finals last year. You actually made it third in the world last year. Congratulations on this one.
Thank you.
How did you train for latte art? Like,
this is pretty easy.
Advices for beginners.
Actually, latte art is much easier to train than any other competition. You just go into training room, brew your espresso, pour coffee, and do it like 500 times a day. It's fine.
Okay. So guys, good luck on the world.
No,
where is Alexander? Good luck.
Latte art is nothing more than just repeats. So the moment you have your pattern already, you just have to learn your muscles to do it without your conscious. So I can talk to Jana here and you, and if you will give me a cup and a milk pitcher with rightly steamed milk, I could talk to you and do it without even looking what I'm doing. This is how you train for latte art. You have to be a machine at some stage. So you're going on stage, and doesn't matter if you're stressed or not. You're just able to do it because it's not your head is working, but your arm is working.
Okay, so
just wait. The repeats you have to do to be like top 3 in the world is 10,000 repeats of every pattern.
10,000 repeats of every pattern.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot of milk in the sink. Nobody drinks it.
And the milk, how different it is, like on every world stage you had, like how different it is in every country.
Like what you have in milk is different. So different protein content, different fat content, different method of pasteurization. So it makes every milk totally different product. So I'm not able to compare all of them. You just have to go on world stage, try this milk, and more or less know what to do to manage it. But there is no such a guidance what to check. You just have to have a plan. Low temperature, high temperature, a lot of foam, not a lot of airing, maybe less airing. You have to just check every single thing and don't freak out. Because if you freak out, you're never going to find the right attitude.
Roger that.
Yep.
So enough about milk. I'm not a big fan personally.
Maybe soy one.
You've been 4 times on World Barista stage. 3.
World Barista stage 3.
3. And you nailed it this year, right?
Yeah, I don't know why.
What was your score first and second time in the overall ranking?
I was 34 in Seattle and 34 in Dublin.
That's a good score. 34, 34, 1.
Yeah. Because I wasn't in Seoul, so we don't know what's in between.
Did you practice those 2 years? What did you do those 2 years to master your skills?
I think in 2016, I decided I won't do 2017. And I knew that 2017 will be just a time to find the coffee. Because this is one of the main things in a barista competition, that you have to have a coffee. And in Poland, we always have this championship is announced like 6 weeks before. And if you announce it 6 weeks before, you don't have a choice. You just take what coffee is on the market. So you have to prepare yourself much earlier. So 2017 was just finding the right beans. And I thought that I will go for green ones. And the problem with the green ones, when you're a competitor from a country that is emerging, like Poland, and then you're a competitor that nobody knows, and you're a competitor that did nothing in a barista championship before, so nobody is willing to sell you this coffee. 34
is not nothing. Let's start with that.
Okay, but like we had a bad history in Poland. Like there was no Polish competitor that was higher than 10 in the last 10 years. So then you go to the producer and say, hey, I want to use your coffee on national championships, and he's like, who are you? If I was American, it would be much easier. If I was from UK, it would be much easier. If I have a big company behind me, it would be much easier. So I was looking for different producers and different coffee, and I found out that there is one farm in Colombia that actually like specializes in making coffee for championships. It was La Palma y el Tucán, which is freaking expensive because it costs $200 per kilo of green coffee. But this is purely competition coffee, and they don't give you disgusting for this. So if you want to go there and buy it, you can buy it, but it's expensive. You have to be prepared for that. So I managed to buy it for nationals, and I get like, I think 25 kilos, which is not very much as for barista competition. And I won Polish competition, and then I was left only 8 kilos of green coffee, which means that I have 1 roast for world. So I cannot train on this coffee. I can just roast it and go for the world championship. And I was lucky enough that the same day, Project Origin called me and asked, "Hey, would you like us to help you?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, but I don't know how much it will cost me." And they're like, "So let me call you back in 2 weeks." And after 2 weeks, they called me and they said, "So we would like to offer you a scholarship." And I said like, "Yeah, okay. What does this mean?" "We'll give you coffee and Sasha will coach you. And there's just one condition. You have to come to Australia for the training." And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
So out of the blue, you get a call that offers you to call back, and then call back and offers you a scholarship that you have to travel to Australia, be coached by SAS, and have a coffee provided by them. Okay.
I don't know how it happened.
That's nice.
This is this luck in the competition, because I was lucky. If they will tell me, "Hey, okay, but you have to pay for it," I would have to sell all my interior, stuff like liver and kidneys and all. I wouldn't be able to pay it. They just had this idea of having 2 competitors that will be supported by them. So I was lucky enough to have it.
Who was the second one?
John Gordon.
And was his score in the world?
He was 6.
Not bad.
Still a final.
You still get together to finals.
Yeah, I think that even Sash didn't expect that. I think that nobody in my country, nobody expected that. I didn't expect that. Sash didn't expect.
So let's get 1 second back to the preparations. So you accepted the scholarship. What happens next? You just flew to Australia right away?
Yes, the schedule was like 2 weeks after this call. I had to fly to Australia. But the problem is that because I'm training people, I had to reschedule 6 or 7 trainings to do that, because I needed to spend there at least 10 days. So I fly to Australia. We stayed in a training room for 10 days, 2 days with Sash, and next, I think 6 or 7 days with Hugh Kelly, Sam Cora, and Angus McKee.
That's a bunch of nice people.
Yeah, there is a boys band in there. They're only boys. So we are trying coffee, testing coffee. We choose the right recipe. We choose the right coffee. But with Sash, I was working mostly on the main subject of the routine. So we spent 2 days trying to figure out what to say and how to say it so it will be clear. When I go back from Australia, I needed to put it into 15 minutes, which at the beginning was 19, of course.
Again, you're lucky 19 minutes.
It was pretty tough, because Australia and Poland are in totally different time zones. So the moment when I get up and want to go for training, Sash is already going to sleep. So I needed to record it, and so I recorded it in the evening. He watched it the next day, and the next day he was giving me comments. So we had this 1 or 2 days delay in me being better, which makes it pretty difficult, because I was doing trainings, I was repairing some stuff. And when I repaired that stuff, he called me, "No, you cannot do it." And I was like, I just learned something new. I learned my routine again and again and again, and he's changing stuff. So we were struggling for 3 weeks with the time. Then I started to do it in time, but then he was very picky about the details. So you have to change this, you have to change this, maybe you will change this. And I was like, it was very difficult, because he was also traveling. I was recording the videos, so he saw only how I present. We didn't taste the drinks.
Yeah, about the sensory part. How did you manage to work on the sensory part of your coffee?
I had a coffee that was sent to me from Australia to Poland, so I was working on the sensory part with my team. But we knew that the roast that I will have in Amsterdam will be different. So we actually give the final recipe and the final flavor descriptors in Amsterdam.
Together with Sas and his team.
Sas and his team and my team, because finally the roast that I got in Poland, something was wrong. I think that we were so in a hurry that when the green beans arrived to Australia, they roasted too fast. So there was too much bitterness, and we were afraid that maybe the coffee is bad. But in Amsterdam, it happens. It's actually pretty nice. We were prepared with 3 different roasts.
Okay, so your trip to Amsterdam.
Okay.
How did you go there? Who was your
By
team?
car.
By car with your girls' teams? But
yeah, I was like, when you have the opportunity to drive somewhere, it's always better for your stuff, like for your cups and for your coffee, not to fly, because every pressure change might affect the degassing of coffee. So we decided to drive. And because I don't know if you watched my routine, but I have this pretty weird stuff that I was building a table on a table. And it took most of the place in my car. So I was afraid that I would have to leave one of the girls back home. So we decided that we have so much stuff that we'll just take a car, drive there. And actually, I didn't have the coffee with me. The coffee was flying with one of the guys. So if the plane crashed, I wouldn't have the coffee. But the plane didn't crash. So I was going by car. Then I had 2 official trainings. One training with Sash before the competition. Then we had tasting, and then the competition started. It was like 3 days before the competition I was there.
Okay, so the qualification, your score was pretty high. Was it a surprise for you?
Yes. Yes, like we were hoping for a semifinals because of the support and the amount of work I put. But the moment, there's live scoring. So an hour after your competition, you actually know if you're in the top 15 or not, which is pretty brutal because we all want to be in the top 15. And sometimes you just, after your competition time, and you're just so pretty excited because everything was super good. And then you just finish and you're 30. It's like, it's brutal.
And you're not there, they only show in 25.
Yeah, and this is pretty brutal. And I was waiting for the result, but I was afraid to check it. So somebody else, actually, I was just like walking around. And I felt good after the routine, but I did some technical mistakes. And I knew that the coffee is very sensitive for a time of contact time with water, especially with the espresso, and espresso is the most points. And I had the difference in the extraction more than 7 seconds, which means that one of them might be very, very bad. And we are afraid that this might be the problem. I was just walking around, it was more than an hour, and somebody checked, and you're not in the top 15 yet. Like, there are no scores. And I said, like, yeah, there might be scores, but I'm just not in the top 15. And I think 15 minutes later, somebody sent me a message, congrats. And I was like, for what? And they're like, there is live scoring up. And I was like, okay, so I'm in the top 10, maybe. And then it figured out that I'm in the first place after my run. It wasn't a long time. The Swiss guy was in front of me after like another hour. But the funny thing was that we were thinking that I will go into semifinal like from a place around 10, and like the whole Poland was like, what is it? What is it? Is it like the popularity contest on the live scoring? And like my dad called me like, so you had the most views on the internet? I was like, no, this is actual points. And they're like, seriously? Like so people in Poland was pretty surprised. Like, there was a lot of them in Amsterdam, but not a lot of them was watching. And I was going into semifinals from the 3rd position, which was pretty good, and the expectation rise. And I just saw Sash when I told him, hey, I'm first, and he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm first now. And he's like, okay. So now we have to make some things better for tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, I know.
So what did you guys change for the semifinals?
What?
What did you guys change for semifinals?
I did have to add one thing, because the difference in extraction was because I was using EK, and when you use EK, depending on what you do, a lot of coffee may stuck inside, and affects your dose. And actually, I did in one of the doses for espresso, I have more coffee, like it was around 1 gram, and I wasn't checking it. So we added one technical stuff that I was checking the dose before brewing espresso to make sure that dose espresso will be as I wanted and equal. So this was something that we changed.
And then the finals announced.
Yeah, they announced finals. I was going into final from 4th position, as I checked later. So not as high as I finished.
4th position, but still in final. So
Yeah.
how was that for you? Was it like a little bit more expected because you know you're like good already?
Like in the finals? No, actually finals was pure fun. Like there was no Polish person in the final ever.
So whatever you do it good.
Whatever I do, I was already the best woman in the world. I was already the best Polish person in history, and I think that the routine that I have was so pretty positive. Like the attitude me on stage wasn't so serious. There was more fun of that, and I was so super happy that I just went there, did my job. Like I didn't have more stress because it's final. I was more like super excited because I know that there will be this Polish crowd that screams the loudest ever. And I just know that this is just the moment to enjoy yourself, because if everything goes pretty well, will be in the top 3. If not, I'm still in the top 6. So what's the difference?
So you are the woman of Polish coffee scene. You are the first woman ever made it to the world Barista champion. You were the only woman in the finals.
Yeah.
Do you feel any more sensitive about it?
Being a woman?
Yeah, like what would you say to all the girls who don't want to compete or who say like it's not for me? Like I'm a girl.
Like it is for everybody. What you have to do is try, and I think that there's a little bit too much about me being a woman that actually won this competition, because backstage we are all equal. Like nobody behaves in a different way because you're a girl or a boy. Actually, girls have better because you don't have to carry your grinders. Guys do that for you, so we're actually in a better position. I didn't have to carry my grinder anywhere, and the guys were just like going with those heavy stuff. I think what this win might do, and I hope it will, it shows the girls that it is possible. That is first thing, and the second is that it will encourage more girls to compete, because you don't have to be like being a girl doesn't mean you're not winning stuff, and I just hope that it will just encourage them. Just try it. Like it's possible, it's fun, and you don't have to be so super serious about this competition. Just go and do that. Like the guys in the finals were serious. I wasn't. I have 2 different shoes. What do you expect?
Okay, but you also have a nice team of girls supporting you, like
Of course.
Paula was there for you.
Paula and Camila, yeah.
Camila, and you actually did manage to coach the Brewers
Yeah.
Cup champion of
Yeah.
Poland in like few days.
Yep. This was pretty weird because I was supposed to compete in this competition, and we went for Amsterdam, and Camila, one of my teammates, says that she's not having a coffee because her previous boss didn't order it, so it won't arrive. So we just managed some coffee to arrive when she goes back home. And then I won, and I just figured out that I'm so super happy and excited that I don't want to leave it and go to stress for another competition. And I tell her, hey, take my coffee, I'll help you, and we'll just see how it's going to be. And she won. Like, okay, on Friday, the day before the competition, she wasn't able to say her routine. She wasn't able to say it. Like Friday morning, I said her, you're driving and you're just like repeating. On first day, we decided she's not doing English or Polish. So I was just like hoping she's going to be in top 10. And then she's on stage.
Saturday, when I was judging her performance, she was like super energetic.
And I was just like, what happened? It wasn't the girl that I saw the day before. Like she surprised me.
So one thing we know about you, you are a good coach.
Yep.
Learn from the best, right?
Yep. Like if you watch her routine and mine, you can see that she's doing the same gestures. Like she watched me so many times, she's doing exactly the same when she's serving coffee. So it's just like, Paula is sitting next to me and is like, she's you. And I'm just like, yeah, I can see that. She even uses the same phrase.
So Paula, Camila, hi.
They are not watching.
They will.
Like they hate me right now. It's after WBC. They are a bit tired of me, so that's why I'm traveling.
Yeah, well, now I'm here for you.
Thank you.
So okay, now you won. You can breathe out.
No.
No? What's next?
There's a lot of interviews waiting for me. Like, no, I don't know what's next. Oh, the dog is here. I don't know what's next. It's been not even 2 weeks, I think, or it was.
Still less.
Still less than 2 weeks, so I'm still absorbing it.
Brownie!
Yeah, this is the star in here. So I'm still absorbing the information that I'm a world barista champion. And I have to get up every day and check my phone to make sure I am. It's pretty unbelievable. So I don't know what to expect. I know what happened when I was third in the latte art competition. And this is like much, much bigger. And this is the first place. So I just see the people, see people's support, but I'm also feeling a bit scared because this is such a great responsibility to be the ambassador. Like, it's not only the ambassador for my country or even other emerging countries, but also for women in coffee. So I just feel a little bit scared what's gonna be next, but at the same time, I'm pretty excited to see it.
Nice. We really hope to see more of you.
No, please.
Everywhere.
I will jump out of the fridge in a second, so please, no.
So what is it for you to be an ambassador? Like, a part of having plus 10,000 followers in just few days in Instagram?
Ambassador. I think that for me, the most important right now is to be ambassador for my country and for my city. Because I know how excited people in Poland are about me winning this competition. And I just see there is so many opportunities that will come to my country, that will be opened in front of not only competitors, but also baristas, or companies and industry. Like now, Poland as a country, coffee country, not coffee producing country, we're not doing it yet. We are, I think, excited that a lot of companies will now see us. And thanks to that, we can get better machines, better coffees, roasteries can grow. So I just hope that I will be ambassador for Poland.
That's great.
Yep.
So you've been for like 5 days in Belarus.
Yep.
You taught the Belarusian people on Barista.
I hope one of them will be champion next year, or maybe 2 years.
Yes. And then
no pressure.
No pressure, yeah. And then you like visit a few coffee shops, stayed in the city. Do you see like any similarities of Belarus to Poland?
Like the city looks very similar to what I'm used to. So maybe there's a bit more army people on the street, but just a tiny bit. But the city looks very, very similar. And as I watch Minsk coffee scene, I just feel like in Poznań 3 years ago. We were the same. We had just like 5, 6, maybe 10 coffee shops that were actually passionate about what they are doing, and the rest was just there. And when I see Minsk today, I just remind of Poznań 3 years ago, and I'm just can't wait to what you will have next in here, because I know how it looks like.
So competing whole life, at least 7 years of professional competing, does it worth it?
Or worth what? Yes, it is. Like the feeling is amazing. The feeling is amazing, and the develop that. When I look at myself 10 years ago and now, I don't want to be the same person as I've been 10 years ago. As an introvert, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would just run. And right now I'm like more open to people. I'm more ready to talk to people, more ready to share knowledge, and also I'm a bit more encouraged to actually ask questions, which I wasn't 10 years ago. So I just developed my personality, and this is super cool.
Dziękuję bardzo, Agnieszka.
Dzięki. You have a questions?
So let's take the questions out, and thank you very much. We were having the World Barista Champion 2018, Agnieszka Rojewska.
Yep. Still getting used to that.
Would you like to wish like anything to anyone? Just like a last goodbye for this
But it's
video,
advice or
for
the
this
wish?
interview. Wish
Wish?
or advice.
What I like one sentence in a coffee industry. It is Comandante says happy grinding. I would like to wish you very happy coffee brewing, okay? Always be happy when you make coffee, okay?
Thank you everyone.